Howdy, 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 and welcome to the iGPFUN Formula 3 series here at Phillip Island here on Total Sim Sport. I am Austin Knight. I am joined by Seb Bosher-Williams and Sean Cranleigh-Swash here in the production booth, and we are live for a great afternoon of racing here down under at Phillip Island. Seb, how you doing, and how you feeling about today?
I'm feeling absolutely ecstatic. Good evening to everybody at home. And yes, what a race we have got in store for us once again. The IGP League never, ever fails to disappoint. And we move, as you've rightly said, to the Australian shores and this super tricky circuit. And I'm really looking forward to seeing these drivers really push the limits here. Overtaking is not as easy as it was in Imola 1 week ago. Oh, and there somebody goes for quite the spin. And yeah, so drivers, as we are seeing, really struggling with the track, and it's going to be hard to overtake. So it's going to be a race of strategy, a race of biding your time and sort of forcing the driver ahead of you into a mistake. So while we might not see the sort of action, the ever sort of present action of Imola, this one's going to bubble away for the whole 34 laps, I reckon.
It certainly is, and a little controversial statement here. I know Monza is called the Temple of Speed, but this is really a Temple of Speed here. Every driver here is putting in such a close lap time that we were looking at the gap between each drivers, and they were just separated by, well, they were literally within hundreds of a second of each other. That I believe, Sean, can we go back to that timing tower stat that we had? Because it is literally 0.0 and then the decimal. They were within a hundredth of a second of each other right now. The top 3 are within 400ths of a second. Heck, the top 5 are extremely close right now. Hey, Moreau, Braun, Grosseto, Westman, everybody knows the fast line around here. The fast line is so easy to get. The draft is very good. The racing is always great. And if you get a runaway whiff here, it's near impossible. If we learned from everybody that's being like, if you are not setting a time that is beyond perfect, you're going to be in a pack. And it's going to be some amazing races. And I'm fearing for the life of my lungs.
Well, after Imola, I fear for your lungs as well. Yeah, you have to go down all the way to 33rd place to find the first driver, sorry, 34th place even, to find the first driver who is further than a second away from the pole time, which is, I think, the closest pack I've ever seen in racing before. And
yeah,
it's certainly going
to... 33 cars separated by 6/10, I believe.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane out there.
This is maddening. Like
these. Oh, sorry, go on.
This is maddening because you know the phrase "they're so close together they can put a blanket over them." This is literally that.
It is. You could probably throw. I mean, it'd have to be a fairly large blanket, but I think it's probably possible. I mean,
sizable rug. It would be a sizable rug.
I mean, yeah, I think the biggest difference is the F3 cars themselves. It is so tight out there. These drivers are going to be driving and pushing every single lap, and I think we are going to see drivers making those mistakes. We haven't really mentioned Nicholas Westman is your pole sitter, and I mean, we haven't tended to see him at the top of the timing stand. So I reckon this race is going to throw up a few upsets, to say the least. It's going to just be such a good race. I keep on saying it and I keep on psyching myself up because this is certainly one that you want to be sitting down with a cup of tea and just watching away.
Oh, this is always going to be so much fun, and I'm excited to see what is going to happen right here. You know, even with this qualifying format, the people qualifying as Adam Talsma for Scuderia Dagda, you know, warms up his tires to go into the pit lane. Probably going to be using them as a heat-efficient way to heat up the crew's lunch.
Yes, you've reminded me about a Sky Sports feature that I'd rather forget. Anyway, I think the grid is... Yeah, indeed. I think the grid is about to pop up and we can run through. Why don't you take us away, Austin?
Yes, here we go. Nicholas Westman of Shizou Team T1 takes pole position ahead of Fabio Grosseto by 400ths of a second. and 400th of a second behind him, Timo Braun. 600th of a second, Vincenzo Monroe. 700th of a second, Alistair Hay. And then the first car, a 10th behind, is in 6th place, Christian Lezano. Andy Flint, Lucas Maruk, Rodrigo Duran, Kuji Ito, Antonio Tellez, Darren Rollinson, Clark Williams, Zolta Zomotor, Jerome Lanley, Rafael Munzer in 16th place. Behind them in 17th, that will be Andrea Brachetti, Massimiliano De Laurentiis, Victor Van Veen, Adam Talisman, Reed Dennis, Hector Balaguer, Nicola Kona, Simone Fessy, James Thuis, Nicola Veltman, Robert Ridgway, Jeremy Brewer, Jeffrey Brewer, Matthew Brewer, Nick Jeffrey instead of Jeremy. And then it's Matthew Brewer, Nick Carney, Martin Devine, Noel Richie Robertson, and Claire Richie Robertson in 32nd and 33rd place. James C. Clark, Leonardo O'Cherry, and Paul Happ at the end of our grid. Paul Happ and Leonardo O'Cherry, the only cars not sending a lap time. James C. Clark 1 second off the qualifying time. And this entire grid, 33 cars with it qualifying within 6/10 of the leader.
It's completely insane. I don't think we're going to see a race.
This is what happens if you. This is honestly, everyone asks, hey, what will happen if you take a Formula car and you put it on an oval? You get grids like this.
It is. You're right. It is like oval driving, and the drivers are going to have to employ a lot of the skills. We've got pack racing, slipstream, and everybody's so close. This is just such a race to watch. And
we got a difference in setups right now. If you can see Fabio Grassetto and Nicholas Westman. Westman is running a low downforce wing. Grassetto is running a higher downforce. We're going to find out who is taking P1 today. 5 red lights. It's time to have some fun down here at Phillip Island as we go green, 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 and away we go for some amazing races here under the sun. 34 laps as we go side by side heading into turn 1. Westman and Grassetto. Grassetto round the outside takes the lead by Westman, but down to the inside. Grassetto takes it right there, heading through turn 2. Grassetto now takes the lead. Behind them is Timo Braun sitting in 3rd. They're in a 3-way fight with Christian Lazzatio in 4th place. They're up 2 spots. Currently, everybody's just jockeying for position as we head into treacherous Honda hairpin right now. Everybody just fanning out, trying to find some clean air because that braking zone right there is always crazy, and we got a car spinning in the background. That would be Robert Ridgway and Clear and Richie Robertson having a little bit of issue, but it just seems like a small issue right there as Robert Ridgway and Mike Clear and Richie Robertson being the only cars being taken off a track right there, as Grassetto has pulled off a 7/10 gap to Westman, as here is Christian down to the inside, up 4 spots right there, side by side with Westman, trying to hold it around the outside. These higher downforce cars can really abuse this start right here, and because their tires are not warmed up to temperature, the lower downforce cars of Nicholas Westman is going to have to baby them for his first few couple of laps because he won't have the amount of grip ready for him.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point there, Austin, as they head down towards turn 1. 1 lap completed so far. Yeah, it does seem like everybody on the lower downforce setups are struggling to fire those tires up, just not the compound of the tire not biting into the track. And yeah, if you're Nicholas Westman, you're just having to make sure that you don't end up in the grass, and it's so easy to drop a wheel on the grass and round you go. As Licinzo again tries to make the move on Westman as we head down towards turn 3, and now we're heading down to turn 4. Oh, there's a lockup there from Grassetto in the lead, but the gap is now 1.4 seconds up. Westman is just falling down. So yeah, I think we will see the lower downforce drivers come back in this race. They will gain that pace back, and it'll be easier for them to make the overtakes, but they are certainly struggling at the early part of this race. Will they lose too much time in the opening laps? Does their setup give them enough of an advantage to come back at the higher downforce drivers? Only time will tell.
Well, they definitely have that advantage on the first part of this lap. It's absolutely a low downforce car's dream, but heading into the Honda hairpin, the entire Sector 2, look at the difference in Sector 2 by Westman, Monroe, and Braun right there. That's the difference of a low downforce car through Sector 2 and then the high downforce. Then you head into Sector 3. That's Sector 3 is Sector 1. Just line up for one of the fastest straights here in iRacing right now, as we're looking at Vinci Monroe on the straightaway compared to Westman. He's lost a lot of pace and a lot of speed right there, but Westman on that straightaway now in these opening sectors is going to be gaining a lot of times on Christian and Grosseto, but Grosseto just having that wonderful starting position that he did, and that start, he was able to pull off a 1.3 second gap. Yeah, he pulled out a pretty good gap right there, as this is Alistair Hay, as we go back to the fight for third place, as this is Vinci Monroe and Westman. Monroe round the outside onto the curbs. They're still side by side as they come out of Siberia. They're still side by side. Westman looking up to the inside, trying to throw that car down onto the inside, force Monroe to tow around to the outside and torture those tires. But Monroe round the outside takes third place.
Yeah, we're really seeing the higher downforce cars just being able to use every bit of the track that they fancy, just so much more grip. And you have to say that Westman should have had his tyres up to temperature by now. So maybe it's not just the setup. Maybe we're starting to think about Westman not having the race pace that we would have thought he would have had based on his stunning qualifying pace. But here you see the difference in downforce levels. Westman there down the inside of Morone into turn one, and he retakes that position. Third place is his, and Locenzo in second place is catching up to Grosseto. The gap is now 0.8 of a second, so we're going to have a battle for first and second rather soon. And this is just going to allow Westman and Morone, Braun and Duran, all of these drivers as they're getting so close. We're on board. Team
Look at that dive down to the inside. Monroe! Oh, goes a little bit too deep right there. Had it locked up as they make contact with Westman at the apex of the Honda hairpin. Westman, though, able to keep it around the outside right there. Monroe getting a little bit too close for comfort right there. And then, unfortunately, getting a little bit of contact to keep going. But, oh, Honda hairpin getting a little bit rough and tumble at times.
Yeah, I think Morone there kind of didn't want to make the move. I think Westman broke a little bit earlier than Vincenzo was expecting, and I think it sort of ended up sort of one of those sort of half-hearted moves that it's better to not rear-end them. At least you should attempt to go for the move and sort of pray in a sort of a wing and a prayer that you don't end up making contact. And I mean, great driving by the pair of them to have all four wheels on their car after that dive from Morone. But he is really wanting this position now, down the inside into turn one, exactly the opposite of what happened just one lap ago. And we're just seeing how powerful the slipstream is. And even if you have got a lower downforce setup, these higher downforce drivers are just still able to benefit from the slipstream. It certainly doesn't, you know, we see it at some tracks, if you take the lower downforce setup, you can sort of almost like nullify the slipstream. That is certainly not happening here. And Westman is really struggling out there. And now the real challenge for Morone is, can he break that slipstream to Westman and sort of head towards, as we're getting very close to contact once again in the Honda hairpin.
Yeah, the Honda hairpin absolutely treacherous. It's the biggest overtaking opportunity outside of turn one. Heck, turn one's not really the overtaking opportunity, so that massive front straightaway. And in these Formula cars, it is always going to be very exciting. I've seen GT car racing here get a little bit spread out as their draft is a little bit harder to manage, as we do have a few cars in the pits from an issue, but they were not up front. But that would be Brachetti, Nico Lacona, Jerome Lamley, and Darren Rollinson from those incidents at the start of this race. Robert Ridgway, we said he had that incident at Honda hairpin. He went in for a front wing change, and he is back out there right now. A few drivers getting off tracks, as off track is very easy to get there, especially on the outside of turn one, as this is Timo Braun going side by side right now, as they are diving it down, trying to hold it around the outside right there, side by side heading into turn one. Always a nail-biting situation, especially if you go side by side through there. Rodrigo Duran able to hold off Timo Braun right there.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, it's interesting to see that they can defend into turn one, so it's not a done deal, although it has sort of looked like that in past laps. But now we're getting to this is Zomoto here trying to go around the outside of the 747 car that then neatly turns into the inside into the Honda hairpin, and that is a position. Sorry, that is Zomoto, the 747 car being passed. Do apologize there. That was Simon Fessy getting past him. And you're right, we have a few people in the pits as well. So it's been remarkably clean. You would have expected that, you know, with a pack that was so close as this pack was. I mean, you know, we kept saying in qualifying just how close they were. Would have expected more sort of arguments, more squabbles in the first few laps as people really tried to capitalize on those laps to gain positions, but surprisingly clean, and it's really nice to see so. But I mean, we just have to sort of mention Grosseto. I mean, it was such a great start. Vincenzo is slowly catching, but it's not too much. Westman back up into third place, but there is just trains developing pretty much everywhere. As Richard Van Veen, I just see, makes a position there. He's up into 15th, overtakes Talsma. But, I mean, if you make a position here, there's lots of action on track.
Well, Nicholas Westman and that massive train is actually closing in on Grosseto and Christian, our two leaders, as Westman defending as Vinny sends it up to the inside once again of Westman, and he gets the move made for third place. But this train right here is seemingly faster than Fabio Grosseto and Christian. It's an Italian 1, 2, and 3 right now. But our two leaders, last lap, they're setting a 123.4, 123 flat. The group behind him, they're setting 122s. They're definitely being helped out by the draft as well. And them not finding each other that much is actually going to be really helpful for this second group to really catch our two leaders and maybe make this a, well, how many people are in this group?
10-way battle for the lead.
A 12-way battle for the lead. There are currently 10 people in that fight for train for. It's just a stupid stat.
It certainly is.
This is not normal.
It certainly isn't, and that's why we love coming to tracks like Phillip Island, as you just see riding aboard with Vinny Morone how close Westman gets, but he just decides to pull in. And I think Westman is now thinking about the long game, thinking about, you know, fighting for first and second, and thinking about the tyres too. Somebody who is not thinking about the tyres is Timo Braun. He still wants past Rodrigo Duran, couldn't do it into turn 2, follows him through turn 3. Does he have a bit of a look into turn 4?
No.
Tries it, but Rodrigo Duran is defending, and they are just so close to each other. But this pack really needs to work together now. You know, they need to sort of set their sights on bigger and better things, and that is the battle for the lead of the race.
Well, if you're one of the top 3 drivers in this group, you're going to be thinking, okay, if I just don't fight, we could gain to our leaders. But if you're at the back of this pack, you don't care. You're just trying to figure out advancing every slow moment. You're not thinking, hey, if we all work together, we could get the leader. But I want to be ahead of you because I know I'm faster.
That is true, but I mean, I think what we're sort of seeing out there is that
if you tell the racing driver to not overtake, they're going to overtake.
Yeah, that is true. Here we see Westman coming under attack from Rodrigo Duran. And I think we're just seeing Westman not really fight that, stays towards the outside, and through goes Rodrigo Duran up to 4th place. Westman, our pole sitter, down to 5th place. You're right, I think if you're in the back of the pack, you are sort of more thinking about yourself, but I mean,
and that's Vinny! That's Vinny off the track!
That's such a costly mistake from Vinny there. It's so easy to do, but look how many positions he's lost. He's down to 11th place.
Back of the train now, back of the train.
And exactly, we're going to see him now. It's just as I was about to say, you know, that agreeing with you, Austin.
Off is Christian! Second place is off right there! Christian Latanzio is off and down side by side into 12th place right there. The driver in second place has dropped down to 12th.
What a crazy lap so far.
And Rodrigo Duran is now in second place. And now our lone leader, Fabio Grosseto, well, he's 2 seconds up in the lead. And well, he's probably looking at his relative, just be like, huh.
Yeah, I think that's a fairly, I'd agree with that.
Peculiar lap right there.
Very peculiar lap. I mean, we don't tend to see
doing a Dick Dastardly and just dropping thumbtacks everywhere or something.
Well, that would certainly be against the sporting code. Down the inside goes Nicholas Westman. He's up to second place, still fighting and squabbling with Rodrigo Duran. Timo Braun's dropped off this fight a little bit, and now can Westman escape this pack? You have to say it's probably unlikely to, and this is really looking like it's a great spot for Grassetto. He's 1.8 seconds in the clear, and all he needs to do is really keep it clean. But yeah, I don't tend to remember many laps of racing where we see second and third place go off at different parts of the track. Maybe some, I mean, yeah, it's sim racing. We can't even blame sort of some rogue oil from something. So yeah, very interesting to, yeah, maybe drivers just starting to settle down now. Maybe, and this is me really hoping that the tyres are going off a little bit early and we might have a crazy 24 laps, but I think that's me being a little bit optimistic.
I don't know how I remember the main bad guy from Wacky Races, but I got that right. But
did you Google that?
No, I Googled it to make sure that I was right.
You Googling in the middle of a broadcast.
Hey, when I pull out a random name right there, I wanted to make sure if I was saying something right. But Grassetto is under pressure by Westman because Westman last lap is putting in faster laps than Grassetto. Fabio Grassetto, he doesn't have the benefit of trading on the front straight with another driver. And that's what Westman and Duran are doing. That gap to Grassetto is falling down to about 1.6 seconds at the end of the front straightaway, as last lap compared to Duran, he is just slightly faster, but compared to Westman, who was at the front of the train, to 122.9, which is 0.4 faster than Grassetto. So if they keep this swapping on the front straightaway going, Grassetto will be falling to the clutches of this pack behind him. And oh, I spoke too soon! He's in the wall! Grassetto is in the wall! The race leader is in the wall at Siberia!
What a crazy, crazy race. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Turn 6 is quite a tricky corner, but they're all tricky on this track. And let's have a look and see. This is Fabio Grassetto even on the replay. And let's see what's about to unfold. Through turn 6 he goes. Does he catch a little bit of inside curve? Yes, he does.
And then around and then into the wall right there. He kept it out of the wall. I thought he hit the wall, but no, that pulls Grassetto all the way down to 16th place. As now our pole sitter is in the fight for the lead, fight for his second place, but still again, as he holds it around the outside of Timo Braun. Rodrigo Duran is now the race leader here, and in front of a 4-car fight for the lead here at Phillip Island.
Rodrigo Duran had an absolutely mega lap on lap 11, just pulled such a gap to Westman, and that's allowed Braun to catch up. So Rodrigo Duran is in the pound seat at the moment as Timo Braun goes around the outside. That becomes, or inside, and then that becomes the outside for Honda
Westman's
Hairpin.
Gonna watch it off the exit, almost makes contact, but it's Timo time, as it says on his rear wing. Down to the inside, Timo Braun gets pushed out a little bit, and he contact with Westman, and he gets contacted back by Alistair Hay.
The pulse is out, and he's had to return to the pits. And that's certainly, he's got 2 wheels off his wagon, and that's certainly not what you want to see. Timo Braun is up to 2nd place, but will he face any consequences for that contact? It looked...
Well, he was on the inside of the track. He went out just a little bit wide. He was being squeezed by Westman, but they were just so close heading into that corner. They were like, Westman could have given a little bit room, a little bit more room. He had the space on the outside. Timo was being squeezed right there. Could have kept the tie to line. He said, she said, finger pointing everywhere. I'm going to say racing incident.
I think from recollection, I would agree with you on the racing incident. Is down the inside goes Alistair Hay. He is suddenly up to 2nd place. Timo Braun thinks about holding it around the outside, but backs off as we head into turn 2 and just touches the curb there, and that's really unsettled the car. I mean, it just shows how high speed these corners are, is that, you know, these cars really can't handle being unsettled by any sort of curb, because, you know, normal driving dictates that you sort of hit the curbs as the shortest distance, but clearly here, down the inside goes Teles. Well, he tries to, but around the outside goes Maruk. Of course, our race winner just 1 week ago, and yeah, how times have changed. I mean, you know, we Lamey, actually, I was going to bring this up. It's probably a great time to bring that up. Jerome Lamey, who has had a stunning couple of races in the last weeks, he's in the pits and out of this race. Actually, yeah, no, he is still in the pits. So yeah, I was right on that. And but crucially for Lucas Maruk,
lap 3 he had an incident. As you see drivers just at the top of that hill heading to the braking zone. It's such a golden opportunity to just be looking down the inside right there. But that is a white flag move because you got this run up, and then it's this long straightaway. The driver you just overtaken is probably going to get a better run on that straightaway and be able to get you right back, as this is Rafael Munzer showing that right there. Looking up to the inside, going straight into ninth.
Yeah, and crucially, that's past Locenzo there. Christian, of course, was battling for the lead, and he is not been able to catch up to that back.
He was in the lead. He was the leader. He cleared second place. He cleared Westman on the first lap with his better tire strategy right there and his better setup, preferring to start with a high downforce compared to the low downforce drivers. You kind of see this up and down the field, and I'm surprised I didn't see more low downforce drivers, but because of this race being a little bit longer, the low downforce drivers are going to be hurt more throughout the race, because this is not a regularly lengthened race like in iRacing. The low downforce drivers really dominate the field right there, but because they have to care about these tires more on this tire model, the higher downforce cars are going to be benefiting a lot more at the end of this race than the lower downforce cars. So the lower downforce cars, just really a qualifying strategy, and they just carry that over to the race. There's no Parker Ferme in iRacing, so there was a lot more low downforce qualifiers than racers.
Yeah, certainly agree with that. And yeah, like we really saw the low downforce drivers unable. Whoa, it's Vincent Morone there on the grass, trying to claim that inside line, thinks better of it. No, he doesn't. He thinks that he certainly wants that move. They almost touch wheel to wheel through turn one, that he's left on the outside as he pulls into turn two, and he's just going to have to settle for 8th place.
That's a good run, though. He's not settling at all. He's got a great run coming out of turn two. He has a nose on the inside. He's going to switch back towards the inside of the Honda hairpin. And is he going to have a look? Yes, he does. Sending it down to the inside. Vinny down to the inside, and like a glove into 7th place.
Vinny has been so good on the brakes all race, all season really, and showing his class into turn 4 right there. Yeah, he was forced onto the grass. I thought he was just going to sort of settle for 8th place as it was at the time and sort of just tuck in the slipstream, but no. And look at this, 2nd place is Alistair Hay, but maybe not for long. We've got Timo Braun right behind us, with Flint, Tellez, Marek, Morone, Williams, Locenzo and Munzer all within a second of the car ahead. And if you're Alistair Hay, you must be looking in your mirrors going, yep, it's going to be a difficult few laps.
If you're Alistair Hay, yeah, it is going to be a difficult few laps. The one driver who's not having a difficult few laps, who's been putting monster laps end over end, lap after lap, is the number 84, up 8 spots to where he qualified. He's in the lead. Rodrigo Duran is 3 seconds clear of 2nd place.
Absolutely incredible pace from Duran. You have to say that when he was sort of in that pack, he wasn't really able to show that pace, and maybe sort of battling away sort of allowed him to save his tires a little bit, and now he's just extending that gap now. But we still have about 18 laps to go in this race, and is he pushing a little bit too much? Is he going to feel the effects of pushing those tires, or is he just still driving well within his means, and is he just going to be able to extend that gap ever more? But if you're Alistair Hay, you'd be really wanting to close that gap down. You want that crucial slipstream. Not, let's not even mention the fact that he wants to battle for P1, Alistair Hay. That slipstream is so crucial, and just to be able to have that is so crucial. That's a slow car going there. Just having a look at the track map.
I think it was Paul Happ. Just letting everybody down, but that was at the apex of the corner right there, so that was a very questionable spot to slow down for Paul.
Yeah, I think, Happ's not having the best race. 43 seconds off 28th place, but still lapping away rather nicely. This is Clark Williams, the number 98 car, getting a double slipstream, but thinks better of it. Actually, Lucas Marek decides that he wants the inside line into turn 1. And he gets that move done. Clark Williams will just have to watch and learn and try and sort of, he knows, actually no, Barak's now really struggling. See how
Vinny got into the grass right there at the apex. The car shot out wide. Here comes Clark Williams getting the best of the three. He's going to go side by side right now with Lucas Baruch. He's going to go side by side with Vinny, but Vinny's been dominating on the brakes on the inside. Williams goes a little bit later, swings around the outside. Vinny locking up that inside right wheel, able to stay ahead of Clark Williams, but Clark Williams, though, taking the best out of a nasty situation, almost pressuring Vinny as Vinny moves up into 6th place right now. Williams up into 7th, Lucas down into 8th place.
Yeah, great move from Clark Williams. I was saying that he was going to learn from Lucas Maruk, and he put that into practice at the very next corner.
Vinny's doing. Vinny is like dipping wheels, using all the track, dipping wheels onto the grass, and the timing software that we use, the SDK Gaming Tower, has its own on-track GPS coordinates. It's not iRacing off tracks. This is just what we see. Everybody has about 001, 012, 000, 142, 11. Vinny's at 14.
Ooh, Vinny, you're having a interesting race out there. I mean, it just goes to show how much there is absolutely mega battling in the back. And this is Christian Lencenzo trying to get past Lucas Maruk. He had such a pace sort of boost, did Lucas, in the number 1, even in the number 19 car, but that's fallen away a little bit, and he's sort of going into the clutches of the back of this little gaggle for the lead, and Christian looks towards the inside, and that's going to be a fairly done deal, which it is. Actually, it's not. He's gone too deep.
Alistair Hayes had an issue. He's off the track. 2nd place. There's Alistair Hayes in the wall at the end of the Honda hairpin. 2nd place is cursed around here. That is the 3rd car we've seen in 2nd place, or even in the top 3. Get cursed, a massive walk up through the Honda hairpin, gets a little bit too wide onto the curb, too much mustard into the wall, and around is Alistair Hay. Hay in 27th now.
He is even in the pit, so he is clearly got too much damage to continue. Yeah, I think that lockup was the start of the chain of the events there. Just too deep into the corner, pushing too much, as he had Timo Braun behind him, really pushing him along. And yeah, just that simple, easy mistake to make, but the grass is so unforgiving around this circuit. Vinny Morone is now up to 5th place after that Hay incident, fighting with Antonio Tellez for 4th place. And Morone, after having that issue earlier on lap 9, he might just be able to get back on the podium, and that will be an absolutely incredible recovery drive, and he has so many more laps to do it. It's looking great if you're Vinny Morone at the moment.
Can we get the off-track tower on the side? He's at 16 now. I don't know where he's getting these.
I think he's just pushing the absolute limits when it comes to, you know, to the corner entries and exits. I mean, you do see the pro drivers really use the grass, and actually, if you're clever about it, you can actually use the grass as like a way to turn in the car. It's all very.
He's on the grass right there.
He's on the grass here, there, and everywhere. I mean, we might be calling him Vinny Morone Lawnmower at this point. It wasn't my greatest pun. I will work on that. I'll go away and work on some grass-based puns for Vinny Morone. But yeah, he is really pushing the limits, and it's certainly working for him. Up into 5th place, very close to Tellez on our timing tower. He's had 12 incidents detected by SDK. But I'm sure it's much more than that. It's just. I mean, doesn't IGP have a rule that you can't get 1Xs intentionally? Down the inside he goes into 4th place on Antonio Tellez.
We saw that at Hungary last season at Hungary, where we had one driver drive a line where they had 2 wheels in the grass coming out of one corner and then heading into another because, well, it was cooling down their tires. As this is Lasagno side by side with Tellez. Tellez, though, able to swing that down to the inside, but big lockup by Christian right there through the corner.
I think these right front tires are going to start screaming at the drivers soon. I think I've seen almost every driver on the grid lock up into that corner at one point or another, and that's going to really hurt your tire wear as we go later and later into this race. Vinny Moroni up to 4th, about a second away from that 3rd place, currently held by Andy Flint. But Rodrigo Duran, as we were saying, up 8 positions in the lead. Our biggest mover and shaker on the grid is actually Leonard O'Cherry, up 17 spots. Is Clark Williams here battling with the 1-3-0 car of Rafael Munzer. Clark Williams defending very nicely, but Rafael goes down the inside. Great move by him. Clark Williams has the overspeed. Down the straight they go, and it's who dares brake later into turn 1.
Side by side in there, but Clark Williams able to outlay Rafael Munzer right there, but the German looking down to the inside just gets cut off right there. Rafael having a great race heading into turn 2. They've been having a great day, up 7 spots and sitting in the top 10 right now, as this race has just been, well, a wild egg, honestly.
I'd like to correct myself, they're not on the brakes into turn 1. Whoa, Rafael Munzer pulls out very late into the Honda hairpin. Thought he was going to make a move on Clark Williams, but he had such a better exit on the exit of turn 4. Can't really capitalize on that, but Rafael just having so much more grip at the moment. Has he saved his tyres just that little bit better? This is Adam Talsma in 13th place, the number 7 car. A little bit further down than we would have expected, but he is up 7 places, looking to make that 8. As he is just on the back of Zamota there, as you just see all of the positions gained. And yeah, Leonard O'Cherry up 18 positions. Nico Veldman ahead of him. And yeah, we're into the good bit of the race now. I always like this sort of stage of the race, because Leonard O'Cherry there locking up once again, just proving how much these drivers are struggling with the tyres. But as I was saying, like, this is one of my favourite points of the race. It's where battles are established. You've got to start thinking about your tyres, and you've got to start thinking about getting to the end of the race. Rafael Munzer there not thinking about that so much. He's thinking on getting past Clark Williams, which he does into turn 1 and keeps that into turn 2. And yeah, we've got about 12 laps to go. And Timo Braun is starting to come under pressure for Randy Flint for 2nd place.
Yeah. Andy Flint definitely pushing right there as we're watching the battle for 4th. Vinny and Tony Jimenez just having a great fight right now, but Vinny closing in on Flint. So the top 5 really still in the train. Let's right on board of the Scuderia Dagana car of Andy Flint, looking back at Vinny and Tellez.
Yeah, Tellez has managed to keep with Vinny really closely, actually, and that's going to help Tellez's race, because I think he's had the pace, but hasn't really had the benefit of that really super close slipstream that just gives you so much time around here. So being able to hold on to Vinny Morone has certainly helped his race and really brought him into this fight for, we have to say, is 2nd place. So we'll watch out for that. But if you are Andy Flint at the moment, you've got to start thinking about the long game. He is slowly catching up to Timo Braun. So do you let Vinny pass? He is quicker than you. Look how deeper, how much later even Vinny can get on the brakes. He's been stellar on the brakes all throughout this race. And I think we're going to see a little bit of a move into turn 4. He might be too far back, but that certainly doesn't stop Vinny Morone. He's been absolutely mega on the brakes.
Oh, you
doesn't
just
go
see the
for a
closing
move.
speed right there.
Yeah,
wasn't
crazy.
looking for a move, but honestly, he could have sent one up the inside. Just have a just a look at. Ooh, there's a little bit of lockup by Vinny. That would have got Andy Flint a little bit concerned right there if you see Vinny looking up the inside from you, because he's just been on the brakes so well than everybody else, and on the grass a lot more than everybody else. He just picked up 20. By the way, and if you're wondering, the penalty count here in iGPFUN is 50, then every 15x. So Vinny definitely not in risk territory. Well, he's the closest one to risk territory, but risk territory is well, a stone's throw away from just horrible race.
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly pushing the limits, and he's certainly pushing Andy Flint along as we head down the straight. And he pulls out to take that 3rd place. He does that fairly easily. Will Andy Flint think about a move into turn 2? Decides against it. Actually, he's just way too far back to even think about the move. And Andy Flint needs to sort of focus on the gearbox of that 150 car. Think about just following him and just gaining time on Timo Braun. Timo Braun, you can see up in the distance there, Rodrigo Duran a little bit too far out. He's now 5 seconds in the lead. Absolutely crazy job by, sorry, not 5 seconds, 3.6. That makes a little bit more sense. My timing tower is going a little bit awry here in the commentary box, but Rodrigo Duran, I mean, certainly he's not started falling off the pace yet, as that's Lucas Moreau. Oh, that's Vincenzo Rams for the second time today. Whoa! So close to contact there on the exit of turn 6.
The Italian having trouble at Siberia for the second time today. Christian around again off the exit. I think this is going to be a carbon copy of what we saw him lose the lead right there. Just you just see the back end is slowly going away. He's held it onto the brakes, spun it around, kept it on the black stuff, and well, got going again. You see how much heat that generates in the back of the tires. Just not giving him any grip at all. Get going again, but Christian falls down to 12th place. Same spot where he ended up after that first incident that got him out of the lead.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I think he's struggling with that. Unlike the incident that we first saw, it was onto the curb there. He just sort of too much throttle there, as you're right. Andy Flynn looking at Vinny Morone. Vinny Morone just better on the brakes, but he goes a little bit deep here, Austin.
Yeah, just deep, forced to lock up the front right again. Andy Flint forcing Vinny to use all of his brakes right there. Andy Flint's got a earlier braking, about 1 car length earlier than Vinny. So you can see on how much Vinny has perfected that braking zone, using the track limits, using the track as just knowing where he needs to brake at the right point. And that is just showing on why Vinny is much faster in the brakes right there. You saw the car lunge forward heading into the Honda hairpin, and Vinny able to jump up into 3rd with that move and keep it there.
Yeah, I was a little bit excited there. Thought Andy Flint was going to have a much better run out of turn 4. Did not really end up like that. And if you're Antonio Tellez right now, you are thinking, are you just watching the battle up ahead, the best seat in the house, as we say, and you're just ready to pick up any of the pieces, any scraps that come your way, whether it be through incidents or just by poor runs. But yeah, these drivers, Morone and Flint, really need to work together if they want to catch Timo Braun. That is the bigger fish in this race. They really would like to be battling for 2nd rather than 3rd place. And if they keep on battling, and there's a very big lockup there from Timo Braun. And crucially, I think that's put Vinny within that crucial 1 second. So I do believe we have a battle for 2nd. It is a 1, 2, 3, 4 car battle. What more could you ask for, hey?
Can't really ask for much after that. No DRS in these cars, and the front straight is really proving that. I know some drivers will definitely be wanting DRS in these cars. Some drivers not really caring for them. I know Lewis Hamilton would definitely want DRS, considering they're stuck behind AlphaTauri, but this is not the race to talk about that or laugh about that. Actually, it kind of is. But you could definitely see Vinny in the draft of Andy Flint. Flint is able to get past Vinny, but Vinny in the draft right now. Here comes the Italian once more, down to the inside, onto the curb, side by side they go, across the start-finish line. Lap 27 out of 34, side by side. Vinny back into 3rd, and back at the front of this group. Gap to Timo Braun up ahead from Vinny is about 1.5 seconds. So Vinny losing pace as Tellez putting Flint under pressure.
I think what happened there is that Flint has sort of sent down the inside where Morone wasn't really expecting, as we're still side by side actually on the exit of the Honda hairpin, but Tellez just has so much more grip. He can drive right around the outside of Andy Flynn. But I think Andy sort of made a move on Morone, maybe that Morone wasn't expecting, sort of speculating at this point, but what that has done is lost so much time to Timo Braun in 2nd, and that sort of really put the battle, taken the fight away from 2nd place. And it's exactly what I was saying, that these drivers need to work together and sort of look at the bigger picture, at least for the next couple of laps, before you sort of start to get into the sort of 4-5 laps towards the end, where you start sort of sorting out positions for the final time. But I think if you're Vinny Moroni, you're going to be quite upset at Andy Flint, because that's pretty much nulled his ability to go for second place.
Yeah, Vinny was being held up right there, and he was definitely not going to be happy about that. Tony Jimenez, though, able to help out Vinny right there as they jump up into fourth. And that move that Tony pulled on Andy around the outside of the Honda hairpin, that is something you would want to watch again on repeat over and over and over again. And I would definitely be raising a glass to that overtake right there. That was beautiful.
Talking to overtakes, Rafael Munzer there, getting past the number 4 car of Laurentis. Rafael has had quite a good race, but I think he's had some form of issue, because I think he was fighting for positions a little bit higher than that. And we are looking here. This is Martin Devine on Noel Richie Robinson, and he gets past him for the Flaps Fire and Ice team. He's up 13 positions, actually. Great race from Martin Devine right there. You actually see Leonard O'Cherry now, as we sort of been tracking the progress of his race, now up 20 positions into the top 15. Great race from him. Started from the back, didn't qualify. That's certainly proving to be quite the strategies. He's certainly made up more positions. We certainly made up for it in the race. This is De Laurentiis here, the number 4 car, stuck behind. Oh, and he's round!
Oh.
He's round! I just looked at my timing stand, and round he went, and that's at turn 10, the tricky turn 10, and that's undone all of De Laurentiis' good work. He was up quite a few positions, and down he goes, actually right back to where he started. This is Tellez under pressure from Flynn. He is soaking up all of that pressure from Flynn, and soaking all that pressure up if you're Vinny Moroni, but Vinny just doesn't have the pace at the moment. Timo Braun was 0.2 of a second quicker on that last lap, so this is now certainly the battle for third place. Flynn looking quick, but look who's behind them. Lucas Marek there lurking in the shadows as we see Lancinso now down the inside. He goes on the number, just waiting for that, the 146 car, and he makes that move done. He's had to drive had to make quite a few overtakes in this race after the 2 mistakes, but he is past Itoa there, up to 8th place. So a good recovery drive from him in terms of the points, but I'll be coming away from this race thinking what could have been, and certainly I think I would agree with him there. Through turn 9 they go. I love this track, love watching these Formula 3 cars around here, and what's even better is we get to watch them even more for 5 more laps.
Yeah, we got 5 more laps of action-packed racing here.
We do indeed. We see actually Atoa coming back at Lancenso now. Down the straight he goes. Atoa's had such a better run through the final corner. He pulls towards the inside. They go flat out through turn 1, and Atoa is back up to 8th position. Lancenso will have to settle for 9th. No, he doesn't settle. He sticks it around the outside, which becomes the inside
beauty.
for turn 2. Great move there from Lancenso, just showing his absolute pace. And
he's around for the 3rd time, right in front of Ido. Ido has to take it off into the gravel. Licento, the 3rd time it goes around. Oh, this is just an absolutely disastrous day for Christian Licento. And after that beautiful defense into turn 1, that's just heartbreak right there.
I really should stop expecting people to be sort of making the move done into turn 1. Is actually Martin Devine as well has had some form of issue, but what a race for Lancenso there. It's such a what could have been. He's had so much pace, and this is Simon Fessy, who actually has set the fastest lap of the race. So he has had absolutely incredible pace, even up 15 positions in the number 27 car. And is he going to make that 16 places? He is right behind Zamota there for 8th place. Can he make it past down into turn 1? He's thinking about it. He pulls into the slipstream, then pulls out of the slipstream. He's on the inside, and he has got the position, but will Zamota stick it around the outside? Yeah, Simon Fessy gives him no choice, just jinxed across the track a little bit to say, no, you're not coming through here, sunshine. And Simon Fessy is up to 8th place, and he makes it 16 positions gained in this race. Incredible race there from the Frenchman.
we're looking up the field back to our fight for 4th place. This is Flint and Tellez battling with each other. Vinny has been able to pull away from these two and into a gap of his own into 3rd place.
Yeah, actually, Morone's had a little bit of a problem on this lap. Tellez is back within that sort of 2nd margin. So I think Morone struggling maybe with tyres. We saw him come through the field very rapidly, and has he burnt out his tyres? Is Tellez thinking that he can get the podium? And if you're Andy Flint, I think you'll be ruining that decision that he made sort of to fight Morone, because that put him on the back foot and allowed Tellez to get past him. And Flint, I think, is a little bit quicker behind him, but doesn't necessarily have the pace to overcome the dirty air and to be able to pass Tellez. So Tellez is looking good at the moment. Actually, Morone's had a rapid final sector there to extend the gap, and I think compounded by the fact that Tellez didn't get the final sector he would have wanted, and that's put Andy Flint right back onto the gearbox of his car. As I mentioned earlier, Lucas Murrock was catching up to this pack, but that's sort of fallen away now. And yeah, I think the race is sort of in its dying stages now. Oh, and there's a lock-up there from Vinny Morone, showing how much pressure he still feels he's under. Oh, and Andy Flint's
off that Honda hairpin. The exit, back end kicked out, and it looks so natural that we didn't think of anything of it, but it just happened so quickly at the exit of Honda hairpin. Andy Flint goes off into the grass and falls down into 6th place. Lucas Baruch up into 5th now. And there's a car off right there. That would be James Clark. James Clark.
Clark taking the rallycross route around the turn 2. Not necessarily recommended for these Formula 3 cars. This is Rafael Munzer there. Seen him. He's into the top 10, but he has got... Who is that behind him? That's a Zomoto for company. So not been able to pull away from Zomoto. Rafael Munzer really feeling the pressure.
Oh, they both go around and make contact with each other. Oh, chaos in the final 2 laps of this race. Zoltan Zomotor around, and they make contact with each other. And one of them has lost a lot. One of them has lost a front wing.
So unlucky for Zomoto there, and he's actually passed the pit lane, so he can't come in to repair any of the damage. And let's have a look at the replay.
Muser goes around. They both pirouette. It kind of exacted the same place. Yeah, theirs goes the front wing, but I believe it snaps back on for Zoltan, so they don't lose the front wing right there. But oh, that is just heartbreak. Rafael Muser and Zoltan Zomotor. Zomotor down to 16th, Muser down into 12th. The duet of a spin with 3 laps to go for them, as this race and the tires has just been absolutely killer. And it's happened again. James Lewis and Adam Talsma has had an issue. I just saw
it's O'Cherry. O'Cherry's had an issue as well. Leonard O'Cherry, he was up 26 positions. He was in 8th place, and down he falls down the timing stands into 23rd. He is in the pits.
I feel so bad for Sean right now. Anytime we go back to live, something else happens. White flag is in the air for our leaders, and I don't know if we're going to be seeing any more craziness happen. My money is on yes, as here's what happened with Andy Flint and Adam Talsma. Just down to the inside, and makes contact right there.
So Talsma, a little bit optimistic, you would have to say, but I think he was a bit blameless as well. Sort of one of those sort of late race incidents, but this is your race leader. We haven't really seen him for the last...
Kind of same as we saw with Westman. Westman's incident where he got knocked up side by side at Siberia.
Yes, very true. They just sort of merged together towards the racing line. But yes, this is Rodrigo Duran just rounding the final few corners into turn 10. He goes, and what a race it's been. We know it's been a good race from him because we haven't seen him on the broadcast for the last few laps. Just goes to show how clean his race has been. He has had so much pace. Look at his consistency there. 22.6 for his fastest lap, but last lap was only 0.3 off that as he rounds the final corner to cross the line in a great race for Rodrigo Duran. And congratulations, good sir. He has a little bit of time just to slow down, and this is the battle further down the field. Clark Williams around the outside of Lucas Murrock, and he is up to 6th place. Great race from Clark Williams.
Yeah, Clark easily right there. Rafael Munzer after that incident in the final part at this corner right now. Just chasing down James Luis and Kuji Ido in that fight for 9th place. Luis looking on to the outside right there. Ido taking a much tighter line. Here comes Luis into the draft. It's not going to be enough for him. Ido in 9th. Luis in 10th. Adam Talsma swings it into the final spot right there at the final opportunity. Goes on to the outside. Not going to be there for Adam Talsma. Richard Van Veen takes 12th place. Nico Veldman fighting with Noel Richie Robertson. Noel Richie Robertson, good race, up 16 spots today, up to get 16th. He's also our biggest mover today. Tied with Simon Fessy. Fessy is up 16 as well in P8. This is Clearin Richie Robertson. Last car on the lead lap, up 11 spots, finishing 22nd. They're going to be happy about that. Certainly have had a very rough day for a few of these drivers, as I could tell a few of them are spending their final time on track out very wisely by slamming it off the jump and into the opposite side wall.
I think I probably would after this race. It's a bit of a cathartic end to the race. And certainly if you're sort of some of the losers of the race, sort of O'Cherry, Lincenzo, Alistair Hay, Grassetto, Westman, Bruschetti, Lamy, all of these drivers have not had a good race. Here are your race results. And why don't you take us through them, Austin? I certainly need this just to remind myself of the race.
Well, Rodrigo Duran, up 8 spots, takes the win here today at Phillip Island ahead of Timo Braun. Vinny Monroe takes 3rd ahead of Antonio Tellez, followed by Andy Flint, Clark Williams, Lucas Maruk, Simon Fessy, up 16 spots, your biggest mover of the race, finishing in 8th place, followed by Kuji Ido, James Luis, Rafael Munzer, Richard Van Veen, Adam Talsman, Massimo De Laurentiis, Zoltan Zollmotor, Noel Richie Robertson also tied for the most overtakes today, up 16 spots to finish 16th, followed by Nico Veldman, Jeffrey Brewer, Martin Devine, and Reed Dennis in 20th place, and behind them in 21st, that would be Robert Widgway and Claire and Richie Robertson in 22nd, being the last car on the lead lap. And then 23rd, James Clark, Matthew Brewer, Leonardo O'Cherry, Christian Latanzio, Nick Carty, Alistair Hay, Fabio Grassetto, Paul Happ, Hector Ballagart, Nicholas Westman, Andrea Perchetti, Nicola Kona, Jerome Lamley, and Darylyn Rollinson at the end of our 36-car grid. Absolute mad race here today.
It certainly lived up to the hype that was set for it in qualifying. I think we'd like to all apologize to Christian for absolutely butchering his name throughout the broadcast. Yeah, it's I think we haven't said his name the same twice. Do apologize to him. Yeah, absolutely great race all around, and unfortunately had a little bit more retirement sort of as the race went on. And yeah, just feel so badly for Leonard O'Cherry. Had such a great race, and we didn't quite see what happened to him to cause him to have to box and to not take the result that he really deserved. He had such a good race, but yeah, Phillip Island delivers once again. It's such a good track, isn't it?
One of the best, and honestly, it's why I love this place so much. Well, we go from the land down under and high speeds, very fast height, to the land of the free and a very tight track, a very technical and tricky track, and it's certainly a track going to be a lot of fun. Next week, we head to Virginia International Raceway for the next round of the iGPFUN Formula 3 series here on Total Sim Sport. Thank you all for joining us here today. I've been joined by Seb Bosher-Williams and Sean Cranleigh-Swash in the production booth, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.